because the school beauty said I cursed her. My brother had the entire class of boys hang me in front of the bathroom. They took turns slapping me, beating my face purple and blue. Finally, they stripped off my school uniform, leaving me to bake in the scorching sun. The whole school watched, took pictures, and mocked me. My brother coldly watched me. Let this be a lesson to you. Don't speak ill of Ivy behind her back again. Ivy, that school beauty who always clung to my brother and acted spoiled. I trembled all over, my mouth full of the taste of blood. So in my brother's heart, his own sister wasn't worth as much as a stranger's lie. At that moment, my heart died. The next day, I transferred to a school 1,000 miles away in the south. My brother went crazy. Why didn't you explain? Why didn't you tell me the truth? Because you're not worthy. The May afternoon sun was scorching, as if trying to bake people alive. It should have been the time to go home after school, but I was hung in front of the men's bathroom. My hands were tied tightly to the door frame with hemp rope, my whole body suspended, my toes barely touching the ground. The rope dug into my flesh, and every struggle was excruciatingly painful. My brother, Julian, stood at the front, followed by more than a dozen boys he had brought. Each of them wore an expression of either excitement or indifference, as if watching a great performance. Start. My brother's voice was cold as ice, without a trace of warmth. The first slap landed on my face, loud and crisp. A burning pain instantly spread, and I could feel my cheek burning. Then came the second, the third. Everyone hit hard, as if I had really done something heinous. The sound of slaps echoed in the hallway, each one louder than the last. More and more people gathered to watch, some taking pictures with their phones, some whispering, and others laughing gleefully. Isn't that Julian's sister? I heard she spoke ill of Ivy behind her back, and Ivy heard it. Serves her right, who told her to be jealous of how pretty she is. Julian is so good to Ivy, he doesn't even spare his own sister. I wanted to explain, to tell everyone that I hadn't said those things. But my mouth was so swollen that I couldn't speak, and my tongue tasted of blood. Tears streamed down uncontrollably, mixed with the blood from the corners of my mouth, dripping onto the ground and blooming into dark red flowers. I had never been so humiliated. By the time everyone had finished hitting me, my face was swollen beyond recognition, and my vision was a little blurry. Only then did my brother slowly walk up to me. He reached out and grabbed my hair, forcing me to raise my head and look him straight in the eyes. Those eyes, which I had once trusted the most, were now as cold as if looking at a stranger. Stella, I warned you a long time ago, don't mess with Ivy. His voice was soft, but it cut into my heart like a knife. You wouldn't listen, you had to speak ill of her behind her back. Today is to teach you a lesson, to let you know what you should say and what you shouldn't say. I shook my head frantically, wanting to tell him that I hadn't said anything, never. But he didn't even look at me, turning to the others and saying, "Take off her school uniform and let her reflect in the sun." Several boys immediately stepped forward, roughly tearing at my school uniform. I struggled wildly, but with my hands tied, I was powerless to resist. The sound of tearing fabric was especially harsh. Soon, I was left with only a thin white shirt on my upper body, which clung to my skin after being soaked in sweat. The May sun was scorching, making me dizzy and my skin feel like it was burning. The crowd roared with laughter, some whistling, and the flashlights of phones flashed one after another. I had never been so humiliated. More unbearable than the physical pain was the despair of being betrayed. I don't know how long it lasted, maybe an hour, maybe 2 hours. The sun was setting, and the shadows were long. I could no longer feel the pain, only numbness. My lips were cracked, my throat felt like it was on fire, and my whole body felt like it had been drained of all its moisture. Finally, my brother spoke. "Let her down." As soon as the rope was loosened, my whole body collapsed to the ground, like a puddle of mud. He looked down at me condescendingly, with not a trace of pity in his eyes. "Remember today's lesson, if there's a next time, I won't let you off so easily." With that, he turned and left, his leather shoes making crisp sounds on the ground. The others also dispersed, not forgetting to kick me or spit on me before leaving me alone lying on the cold ground. It was a long time, maybe half an hour, before I propped myself up against the wall and managed to stand up. My shirt was soaked in sweat, my hair was plastered messily on my face, and I was a complete mess. I bent down and picked up the torn school uniform jacket on the ground, barely managing to put it on. The holes were large, but at least they could cover something. Along the way, the students I met pointed and whispered about me. Some laughed secretly, some scorned me, and some took pictures of me with their phones. Look, this is what happens when you offend Ivy. She's so pitiful. Serves her right. Who told her to be ungrateful? I lowered my head and walked quickly towards the school gate, each step feeling like I was stepping on the tip of a knife. As soon as I got out of the school gate, I saw Ivy standing under a sycamore tree. She was wearing a white dress, her long hair draped over her shoulders, and the setting sun shone on her, making her look pure and flawless. Like an angel. But I knew that the angel's skin hid the heart of a devil. Stella. She called me softly, her eyes full of concern, her voice sickeningly sweet. Are you okay? I wanted to stop Julian, but he wouldn't listen to me. She took 2 steps closer, pretending to help me. I took a step back, staring at her coldly. She blinked her big, watery eyes, looking innocent. Don't misunderstand, I really didn't expect Julian to be so angry. When did I ever speak ill of you behind your back? My voice was hoarse, and every word felt like swallowing a blade. She tilted her head and thought for a moment, then suddenly realized something and patted her forehead. Oh, it was at noon today, behind the teaching building. Didn't you say to Alice that I was pretending to be innocent? I was standing around the corner, and I heard it clearly. I didn't. But I heard it with my own ears. She bit her lip, and her eyes suddenly turned red. Stella, I know you don't like me, but I really treat you like a sister. I never wanted to steal Julian's concern for you. I'm just too lonely. Her acting was so good. The tears came as soon as she said them, and her pitiful look made people feel sorry for her. Unfortunately, I'd seen it too many times. Alice took leave today and didn't come to school. I sneered. I was in the library all noon studying. There's CCTV footage to prove it. How did you hear it? Her expression froze for a moment, but quickly returned to its innocent look. The tears fell even harder. You mean I'm lying? Isn't that so? Stella. She suddenly raised her voice, as if she had suffered a great grievance. How can you say that? I kindly reminded Julian to take care of you, and you're turning around and slandering me. I knew you've always hated me for stealing Julian's attention. She covered her face and ran away, her white dress fluttering in the wind like an injured butterfly. I watched her back, and I just felt ridiculous. This was the person my brother would rather believe than believe me. A woman full of lies and deep schemes. It was already 8 o'clock when I got home. The house was dark, only the living room light was on. My brother was sitting on the sofa, an open bottle of whiskey in front of him. He frowned when he saw me, his tone impatient. Why are you so late? I ignored him and headed straight upstairs. Every step I took, the wounds on my body protested. Stella, I'm talking to you. His voice rang out behind me, laced with anger. I stopped and slowly turned to look at him. The last rays of the sunset filtered through the window, and for the first time, the house felt so foreign. What, haven't you been punished enough? My voice was very soft, so soft it felt like it might dissipate at any moment. He stood up and strode over to me, looking down at me imposingly. You still have the nerve to be angry? If you hadn't run your mouth, would this have happened today? I told you I didn't say anything bad about her. Ivy would lie to me? He sneered, his expression exactly like it had been at school that afternoon. She's such a kind person. How could she possibly lie? Yes, she wouldn't lie. I laughed at myself, my smile bitter. The only ones who lie are vicious people like me. I turned to leave, and he grabbed my wrist. His grip was strong, making it ache. What do you mean? Exactly what I said. I shook off his hand and looked him straight in the eye. Those eyes that used to shield me from the wind and rain now only held indifference and disgust. From today onwards, let's pretend we're not siblings. Are you crazy? He looked at me in disbelief. Just over this little thing, you want to sever ties with me? A little thing? In his eyes, the humiliation I suffered was just a little thing. I didn't say anything more, and went upstairs without looking back. Behind me, I heard the sound of a glass shattering. Closing the bedroom door, I leaned against it and slowly slid down to the floor. The tears I had been holding back finally burst forth, not because of the pain, but because of the coldness in my heart. Actually, my relationship with my brother hadn't always been this bad. You could even say it was once very good. My parents died in a car accident when I was 5, leaving me and my brother to depend on each other. At that time, my brother was 10, still just a child. But he single-handedly supported the family. He went to school and took care of me, cooking, doing laundry, tutoring me, taking care of me in every possible way. I remember one time I had a high fever, and he carried me for 3 blocks to the hospital. It was winter, and it was snowing heavily. He was wearing a thin coat, and he was panting for breath. When we got to the hospital, his back was soaked with sweat, and his lips were frozen purple. The doctor said that if we had been any later, I might have suffered brain damage. He cried then, hugging me and saying sorry over and over. The neighbors all said we were close siblings, and that my brother was a responsible and good kid. I always thought so too. In my heart, my brother was my sky, my whole world. Until Ivy transferred to our school in my sophomore year. She was beautiful and did well in school, and she quickly became a popular figure at school. We first met in the hallway. She was wearing a white dress, her long hair flowing, and her smile was sweet. All the boys' attention was drawn to her, including my brother's. Even more coincidentally, she was assigned to my brother's class, and her seat was next to his. My brother fell in love with her at first sight. That kind of love at first sight came without warning, but it also seemed inevitable. Every day he picked her up from and took her to school, bought her breakfast, and helped her with her studies. His concern for her was meticulous, even more careful than he was with me, his own sister. At first, I didn't care, thinking it was normal for my brother to be in a relationship. Wasn't it normal for a 17-year-old boy to have feelings for a beautiful girl? But gradually, I realized that something was wrong. Ivy always intentionally or unintentionally said bad things about me in front of my brother. At first, it was very subtle, just casually mentioned. Stella doesn't seem to like me very much. Maybe I did something wrong. Stella glared at me today. Did I make her angry? I heard that Stella said I was acting high and mighty in class. Maybe it's a misunderstanding. Every sentence was like planting a seed in my brother's heart. A seed of doubt. She said I didn't like to study, that I had bad friends, that I secretly went out to play in the middle of the night. She even said I was dating early, that I was hanging out with gang members. Every time my brother asked me, I denied it, but he chose to believe Ivy. Ivy wouldn't say these things for no reason, he always said. You need to examine yourself and see if you really did something to make people misunderstand. Gradually, our relationship deteriorated. He started to be very strict with me, not allowing me to do this or that. No coming home late, no going to internet cafes, no talking to boys. When I resisted, he said I was rebellious. When I explained, he said I was arguing. Until today's incident. I remembered Ivy's innocent face at the school gate just now. She was really good at acting. Every expression, every tear, was just right. Unfortunately, my brother couldn't see it. Or rather, he didn't want to see it. Love makes people blind, and that's absolutely true. I sat down at my desk and opened my laptop. The light from the screen reflected on my swollen face, a little harsh. The wounds on my face were still throbbing, reminding me of everything that had happened today. I logged into several transfer agency websites and started looking for information about schools in the South. Since this home can no longer tolerate me, I'll leave. I'll go far away and never come back. Anyway, I'm already 16 years old and can live independently. Part of my parents' inheritance is from my education fund. Although I can't receive it all until I'm 18, I can apply for an early withdrawal of a portion now. That's the last love my parents left for me. They definitely wouldn't want me to be wronged here. It's enough for me to live and study outside. I looked at schools one by one and finally chose a middle school in Guangzhou. It's more than 2,000 kilometers away from here, far enough. Far enough that my brother can't find me, far enough to start over. And it's a boarding school, so I don't have to worry about accommodation. The school environment looks good, with shady trees and a large playground. Most importantly, no one there knows me. No one knows my past, and no one will look at me with strange eyes. I filled out the application form and uploaded my transcript. My grades have always been good, in the top 10 of the grade. If it weren't for Ivy, I should have been able to get into the top 3. Transferring schools shouldn't be difficult. After doing all this, it was already 2 in the morning. I turned off the computer and lay in bed. Moonlight streamed in through the cracks in the curtains, leaving dappled shadows on the floor. I have to go to school tomorrow. I don't know what I'll face, but it doesn't matter. Anyway, soon I'll be leaving here. Leaving this place that makes me sad. Leaving the brother who no longer treats me like a sister. Leaving the Ivy who's full of lies. Start over. Everything will be alright. It definitely will. The next day at school, things were worse than I imagined. Yesterday's photos and videos had spread throughout the school. They were on every social media platform, accompanied by all kinds of vicious comments. Words like "serves you right," "brought it on yourself," and "ungrateful" filled the comments section. As soon as I entered the classroom, the lively discussion stopped instantly. Everyone turned to look at me, their eyes different. The classmates looked at me with various expressions. Some with sympathy, some with contempt, some with schadenfreude, and most with the excitement of watching a show. I walked to my seat expressionlessly and took out my books. I pretended nothing had happened. Stella. My desk mate called out softly. She's a quiet girl, and we usually have a good relationship. I ignored her, not wanting to implicate anyone. She hesitated for a moment but still said, "About yesterday. Are you okay?" "I'm fine." I opened my textbook, my tone flat. She wanted to say something else, but seeing my expression, she finally closed her mouth. The bell rang, and the teacher walked in. Seeing my appearance, she was visibly stunned. My face was still swollen, and there were bruises on the corners of my mouth that I couldn't hide no matter how I tried. But she didn't say anything and started the lesson. The whole morning of class, I didn't hear a single word. My mind was full of transferring schools. What materials to prepare, what procedures to go through, how to talk to the school. At noon, I went to the academic affairs office and explained the situation to the homeroom teacher. The homeroom teacher is a female teacher in her 40s, and she's usually nice to me. Transfer schools. She looked at me in surprise, her glasses almost falling off. Why do you suddenly want to transfer schools? Something happened at home. I said vaguely, not wanting to explain too much. She was silent for a while, her eyes lingering on the wounds on my face. Is it because of what happened yesterday? The whole school knows. It's impossible for her not to know. I didn't say anything, which counted as agreement. Stella, you can talk to the teacher if anything happens. The teacher will help you solve it. Her voice was very gentle, with sincere concern. School bullying is a very serious matter, and the school will not sit idly by. Thank you, teacher, but I've already decided. I don't want to make things big. I don't want to have any further involvement with my brother. She sighed, her eyes full of regret. Well, if you need any procedures, tell me and I'll help you with them. You are a good student. You will shine wherever you go. Coming out of the academic affairs office, I met Ivy in the hallway. She was holding my brother's arm, and they were laughing and talking. Ivy leaned on my brother's shoulder, laughing heartily, and my brother's eyes were so tender that water could drip out of them. Seeing me, my brother's face darkened, and his eyes instantly turned cold. What are you doing here? Running some errands. I turned to walk away, not wanting to have any contact with them. Stop. He called to me, his tone firm. Have you thought clearly about what happened yesterday? I've thought clearly. Then go and apologize to Ivy. He said it for granted, as if it were a matter of course for me to apologize. Kneel down and sincerely apologize. Ivy is generous and will forgive you. I looked at him and suddenly laughed. That kind of relieved laugh. Julian, have you forgotten that we have nothing to do with each other anymore? His face changed, and his eyes became dangerous. Stella, don't be willful. Willful? I sneered, my voice soft but clear. To be framed, to be humiliated by my own brother, and now you want me to apologize to the person who framed me. Is that what you call willful? You, Julian, brother. Ivy tugged at his sleeve, her voice coquettish. Forget it, Stella might be in a bad mood. I don't need her to apologize, really. As she spoke, she looked at me with those watery eyes, hiding pride and provocation in her eyes. Look how generous she is. My brother glared at me, his tone full of blame. Can't you learn from her? I looked at Ivy, who was looking at me with those watery eyes, hiding pride in her eyes. The pride of a victor. Yes, I really should learn. I said meaningfully. Learn how to distort the truth, how to pretend. Learn how to seduce other people's brothers, how to sow discord between siblings. Stella. My brother was furious and raised his hand to hit me. I didn't dodge or avoid looking straight at him. His hand stopped in midair and finally dropped. You are hopeless. I ignored them and turned to leave. Behind me came Ivy's crying and my brother's voice comforting her. Don't cry. She's just jealous of you. Be good. Don't pay attention to her. How fitting. One willing to hit, one willing to be hit. 3 days later, my transfer application was approved. Faster than I thought. The school in Guangzhou agreed to accept me, asking me to complete the enrollment procedures as soon as possible. The principal called me personally, his voice kind. Stella, we've seen your transcript, it's excellent. Welcome to our school. I believe you will like it here. I thanked him, a warm current flowing through me. Finally, someone was willing to accept me. I started packing my luggage. Clothes, books, some daily necessities. Not much, one suitcase could hold it all. I also took my parents' photos with me. They were the most treasured things from their belongings. In the photo, my father had his arm around my mother, both smiling happily. And I stood between them, smiling without a care in the world. Back then, I didn't know what death was, what separation was. Halfway through packing, I saw the photo frame on my desk. It was a photo of my brother and me. In the photo, he had his arm around my shoulder, both of us smiling happily. It was taken last year on my birthday. He gave me a necklace, saying he wanted me to be his sister forever. The necklace was beautiful, a small star pendant. He said it was because my name was Nanxing, South Star, so he gave me a star. I was so touched at the time that I cried. Looking back now, it's so ironic. I picked up the photo frame, hesitated. In the end, I put it in the trash can. Let the past be the past. In the evening, my brother came home. He's been coming home later and later recently, probably on dates with Ivy. Seeing the suitcase in my room, he frowned. What are you doing? Packing. I didn't even look up, continuing to organize my clothes. Packing for what? Moving out. He froze, taking a few steps inside. Moving out? Where are you moving to? None of your business. Stella. He strode over, grabbing my wrist. How long are you going to keep this up? I shook off his hand, looking at him coldly. I'm not making a fuss. I looked at him calmly. I'm just doing what I should be doing. What you should be doing is leaving this house. His voice was filled with anger, and a hint of panic I didn't understand. This isn't my home anymore. I bypassed him, continuing to pack. From the moment you chose to believe Ivy and not me, this hasn't been my home. When did I? Enough. I interrupted him, not wanting to waste any more words with him. I'm leaving tomorrow morning and from now on, let's just be strangers. He stood there, his body trembling slightly. I don't know if it was from anger or what. After a long while he sneered. Okay, very good. If you want to leave, then leave. Just don't come back. This family doesn't need an ingrate. With that, he slammed the door and stormed out. The door slammed shut, the whole house shaking. I looked at the broken door. The last bit of attachment in my heart gone. An ingrate. So in his heart, I'm an ingrate. Good, it makes it easier to leave completely. The next morning, the sky wasn't fully light yet. The eastern sky was just beginning to turn fishbelly white. I dragged my suitcase and quietly left the house. No farewell, no message. Just like that, I left the home I had lived in for 16 years. The streets were quiet in the early morning, only sanitation workers sweeping the streets. The morning breeze was a bit cool, but felt comfortable on my face. In the taxi, the driver glanced at me from the rearview mirror. He was a middle-aged uncle with kind eyes. Little girl, where are you going so early? The airport. Going on a long trip? Yeah. Alone? Yeah. He looked at the bruises on my face that hadn't completely faded, wanting to say something but stopping himself. In the end, he didn't ask anything, focusing on driving. I leaned against the car window. watching the sky gradually brighten outside. The city was waking up, and I was leaving. Guangzhou, a completely unfamiliar city. I didn't know what awaited me, but it was better than staying here. At least there, no one knew me, no one knew my past. I could start over. When I got to the airport, I turned off my phone while checking in. I didn't want to see any messages, didn't want to receive any calls. Especially from my brother, although I knew he probably wouldn't call. In his heart, I was just a capricious sister, who would throw a tantrum and come back. He wouldn't think that I was really leaving. And for good. The moment the plane took off, I closed my eyes. Goodbye this sad place. Goodbye Julian. Goodbye my 16 years. 4 hours later, the plane landed at Guangzhou Baiyun Airport. The weather in the south was indeed different, humid and warm. The air was filled with the fragrance of flowers, and an indescribable freshness, completely different from the dryness and cold of the north. I took a deep breath, feeling relaxed. I took a taxi to the school, looking at the unfamiliar street scenes along the way. High-rise buildings, heavy traffic, greenery everywhere. The trees along the road were lush and green, and the flowers were in full bloom. It was completely different from the scenery of the north. The school was in the suburbs, the environment was very good. The gate was grand, lined with palm trees on both sides. The teaching buildings were new, and the dormitories were beautiful too. The dorms were for 4 people, and my 3 roommates were very friendly. You must be the new transfer student, right? My name is Clara. A girl with short hair greeted me proactively with a bright smile. I'm Tessa. Another girl with glasses introduced herself with a smile. I'm Rose. The third girl was a little shy, and her voice was soft. I responded to each of them. My name is Stella. They all paused when they saw the injury on my face. But they were polite enough not to ask too much. They helped me make my bed and introduced me to the school. Where the cafeteria was, where the bathhouse was, which teacher was strict, and which class was difficult. They also told me where the food was good, and where I could buy daily necessities. I listened carefully, trying to remember everything. This was my new life, and I wanted to start it well. Lying on the unfamiliar bed at night, listening to my roommates breathing. Outside the window, there were insect chirps and the sound of wind blowing through the leaves. I turned on my phone, dozens of missed calls, all from my brother, and a bunch of messages. Stella, where are you? Come back to me right now. How long are you going to keep this up? Answer the phone. If you don't come back, don't ever come back. The last one was, fine, go if you want, I don't have a sister like you. I looked at these messages, and there was no ripple in my heart. He finally said what he was really thinking. I didn't reply and I blocked him directly. Since I'd already decided to start over, I didn't want any connection anymore. Let the past be the past. Life at the new school was smoother than I expected. No one here knew about my past, and no one looked at me with strange eyes. I was just an ordinary transfer student. The teachers were all nice, and the classmates were friendly too. No one asked me how I got the injury on my face. They probably sensed that I didn't want to talk about it, so they kept a polite distance. I studied hard and participated in various activities. I joined the literary society, and also got into the student council. Slowly, I made friends and integrated into this new environment. The injury on my face gradually healed, and it was no longer so obvious. One night a month later, Clara suddenly asked me, Stella, why did you transfer schools? We were already very close, and she asked it naturally. I paused for a moment. Some family things. Oh, she didn't press me and instead said, have you noticed that someone's been looking for someone on the school forum lately? Looking for someone? Yeah, they said they're looking for a girl named Stella, and they even posted a photo. She opened her phone to show me. My heart tightened. It was my ID photo, and below it said, missing person notice. If you have seen this person, please contact XXX. The contact information was my brother's phone number. I frowned. How did he find this place? Is this you? Clara asked curiously. No. I shook my head, trying to appear calm. Maybe it just looks like me. Yeah, the world is so big, there are bound to be people who look alike. She didn't think much of it, and continued to scroll through her phone. But this person looking for someone is pretty persistent. They've posted it on the forums of several schools. I smiled and didn't say anything more. It seemed I had to be more careful. He finally realized I was really gone. But so what? What could he do even if he found me? I wouldn't go back, never. At the same time, thousands of miles away in the north, Julian was going crazy. He searched the entire house, unable to find any clues about his sister's whereabouts. She had taken all her belongings from her room, leaving only some useless old things. In the trash can was a photo of him and his sister, torn to pieces. He stared blankly at the pieces, as if he had been punched hard. He called, but she didn't answer. He sent messages, but she didn't reply. Then he discovered he was blocked. He went to the school to ask, and the teacher said she had transferred, but they didn't know where to. How is it possible you don't know? He almost roared. Transferring requires procedures, requires a letter of acceptance. How would you not know? The homeroom teacher said helplessly, Julian, Stella did complete the transfer procedures, but she specifically asked us to keep the name of the school confidential from you. Confidential? Why confidential? I'm her brother. Precisely because you are her brother. She specifically instructed us not to tell you. The homeroom teacher looked at him, her eyes filled with some sympathy and some reproach. Julian, I don't know what happened between you siblings, but Stella is a good kid, and she had an injury on her face when she transferred. As a teacher, I hope you can reflect on yourself. Julian was stunned. He slumped down on the bench outside the guidance office, his head in his hands. How could it have come to this? It was clearly just a small punishment. Why did she react so strongly? He remembered what his sister said before she left. From now on, let's just be strangers. So she was serious. Julian. Ivy ran over, looking worried. She was wearing a pink dress today, looking charming and cute. Are you okay? He looked up, his eyes red. Ivy, Stella, she's really gone. Gone. Ivy paused for a moment, then comforted him. She's probably just sulking. She'll be back in a few days. She sat next to him, gently patting his back. Stella is just like that. She likes to throw little tantrums. No, she transferred schools. His voice was hoarse. She really doesn't want me as her brother anymore. Ivy bit her lip, her eyes flickering. After a while she said softly, Julian, actually, what happened that day? Maybe I misheard. He looked at her sharply. What do you mean? I thought about it later. Stella was right. Alice didn't come to school that day. She lowered her head, her voice getting smaller and smaller. Maybe I mistook someone else's voice for Stella's. After all, it was through the wall, and I couldn't hear very clearly. Julian's face turned pale instantly. He felt as if all the strength had been drained from his body. What did you say? His voice was trembling, filled with disbelief. I'm sorry, Julian, I didn't mean to. Ivy's tears fell, looking pitiful. I really didn't mean to. I didn't expect you to get so angry. You didn't mean to? He stood up, his voice trembling. Do you know what I did because of your one sentence? His eyes were frighteningly red, as if he wanted to eat someone. I had people slap her, strip her clothes, and humiliate her in front of the whole school. And all of this because of your one sentence. I misheard? Ivy was frightened by his appearance, and her tears fell even harder. I really didn't mean to. Julian, you have to believe me, I really didn't mean to. She wanted to grab his hand, but he shook her off. Julian looked at her, and suddenly felt like he didn't know her at all. This girl he had always protected, this girl he thought was kind and pure. So this is what she was like. No, maybe she had always been like this. But he had been blinded by her beauty. Get out, Julian said coldly. His voice was not loud, but it sent chills down one's spine. Ivy looked at him in disbelief. Julian, I told you to get out, do you not understand? His eyes were ice cold, as if he was looking at trash. Julian, you can't treat me like this, she said, crying, her voice sharp. I'm also a victim. Stella has always targeted me. Enough, Julian roared. You're still lying even now, he said, word by word. Stella has never targeted you. You've been the one stirring up trouble between my sister and me. Every word, every look, was meticulously designed. And I, the fool, actually believed you. He thought back to the past. Every time Ivy spoke ill of his sister would deny it. And he chose to believe Ivy. Every time his sister explained, he thought she was just trying to weasel her way out of it. He even laid a hand on his own sister for an outsider. It turned out that he was the one who was wrong. From beginning to end, he was the one who was wrong. "Get out," he said again, his voice even colder. "Don't ever appear in front of me again. Otherwise, I don't know what I might do." Ivy ran away crying, miserable as a stray dog. Julian slumped to the ground, covering his face with his hands. "Stella, I'm sorry. Brother was wrong. Where are you? Please come back. Brother will apologize to you, even kneel down to you. Just as long as you come back." Julian began to frantically search for his sister. He hired private detectives and checked the airport surveillance. He spent a lot of money and used all his connections. Finally, he found out that she had gone to Guangzhou. But Guangzhou was so big, and there were so many schools. He could only search them one by one. He posted missing person notices online, and posted on the forums of various schools. He even flew to Guangzhou himself and waited outside the gates of various middle schools. He waited for an entire day, from morning to night, exposed to the wind and sun. But it was no use. Stella had disappeared as if she had vanished into thin air. What he didn't know was that his sister had seen his missing person notice. But she just asked her roommate to help her say that it wasn't her. Then she continued her new life, as if he had never existed. Julian stayed in Guangzhou for a week, but to no avail. He had lost a lot of weight, his beard was unkempt, and he looked exhausted. He stood on the unfamiliar street, watching the crowds passing by. He would take a second look at every girl wearing a school uniform, but none of them were her. "Stella, where are you? Do you really hate your brother that much? You won't even give me a chance to meet? Brother knows he was wrong, he really knows he was wrong. Please come back. Even if you beat me or scold me, it's okay. Just as long as you come back." Time passed day by day. Stella thrived in her new school. She had excellent grades and was well liked. She joined the student council and also joined the school dance team. At the school's arts evening, she performed a solo dance. Under the lights, she was so beautiful that people couldn't take their eyes off her. Everyone was applauding for her. She lived a fulfilling and happy life every day. She made many friends and everyone liked her, because she was kind, hardworking, and helpful. Occasionally, late at night, she would also think about the past. She thought of that brother who used to love her so much. She thought of the times they spent together. But that was all she did, just think about it. Those days were all in the past. She had a new life, new friends, and new dreams. And Julian was the complete opposite. He became withdrawn and taciturn, his whole person gaunt and haggard. Every day, besides attending classes, he was looking for his sister. His grades plummeted, dropping from the top 10 in the grade to the middle. His friends didn't know how to comfort him. "Julian, you can't go on like this." His best friend advised him. "Stella probably needs time to cool down. Give her some space." Space. Julian smiled bitterly. "She's been gone for 6 months. 6 months. A full 6 months, without any news of his sister. He even began to suspect that something had happened to her. He had nightmares every night, dreaming of her being in a car accident, dreaming of her being sick, dreaming of her crying in some corner. Then he would wake up, covered in cold sweat. Until one day he was looking through his sister's old things and found a diary. It was written when she was in middle school. He had never known she had the habit of writing a diary. He flipped through a few pages, his heart aching like it was being cut. "Today brother scolded me again because of Ivy's words, even though I didn't do anything. Ivy is really good at acting, brother is completely infatuated with her." I explained, but brother didn't believe me, he said I was quibbling. "Never mind, anyway, I can leave in 2 more years. I'm going to take the exam for a very faraway university, and never come back." So she had already planned to leave. And he personally pushed her away. Julian hugged the diary, tears streaming down his face. "Stella, I'm sorry. Brother is sorry for you." In a flash, 3 years had passed. Stella was admitted to a key university in Guangzhou, Sun Yat-sen University, the school she had dreamed of. Her score was in the top 20 in the province. Her university life was even more exciting. She joined the debate team and won many awards. She also served as president of the student union. She also fell in love. Her boyfriend was a gentle and considerate Southern boy. He could play the guitar, write poetry, and was very good to her. The two often went to the library together, had meals together, and watched movies together. It was very sweet and very happy. She had completely integrated into life in the South. She liked the weather here, the food here, everything here. Occasionally, she would receive strange phone calls. She knew it was probably her brother, but she never answered them. Let the past be the past. She was no longer the little girl who needed her brother's protection. She had grown up independent and strong. And Julian had a terrible 3 years. He failed the college entrance examination and only got into an ordinary university. Still local. He used to have good grades, but since his sister left, he had lost all interest in studying. He became decadent, drank heavily, and got into fights, tormenting himself beyond recognition. If he wasn't still clinging to the hope of finding his sister, he might have already collapsed. Ivy had long disappeared from his world. He heard she had transferred to another city. Some people said she had dropped out of school. He didn't care at all. He only cared about his sister. But his sister didn't want him anymore. She would never want him again. During the winter vacation of her junior year, Stella returned to the north. Not to go home, but to visit a high school classmate. The classmate was getting married and invited her to attend the wedding. She hesitated for a long time but went in the end. After all, she was a good friend, and it wouldn't be good not to go. The wedding was held in a hotel in the city center. It was very luxurious and lively. She wore a light blue dress and had delicate makeup on. Her long hair was up, revealing her slender neck. 3 years of life in the South had changed her entire temperament. From a youthful high school girl, she had become an elegant and intellectual university student. More beautiful, more confident. The wedding was very lively, and she sat in a corner, watching quietly. The bride was beautiful, the groom was handsome, and everyone was blessing them. She also sincerely blessed them. Suddenly someone called her name. Stella, is that you? The voice trembled, with disbelief. She turned around and saw a haggard man, with a stubbly beard, sunken eyes, and his whole person emaciated. Wearing a wrinkled suit, looking like a homeless man. If it wasn't for those eyes, she almost wouldn't have recognized him. It was Julian. Her brother, whom she once relied on the most. Now he was like a stranger. The two looked at each other for a few seconds. The air seemed to freeze. Stella looked away first and turned to leave. She didn't want to have any contact with him. Stella. Julian grabbed her wrist with great force. Don't go, please. His voice was trembling, and his eyes instantly turned red. Tears were welling up in his eyes, ready to fall at any moment. Let go, she said coldly. Her voice was calm, without a trace of emotion. I won't let go. He held on tightly, like grasping a lifeline. Stella, I've been looking for you for 3 years, a full 3 years. His hand was shaking, his voice choked with sobs. Every day, every hour I've been thinking about you. Wondering if you're doing well, wondering where you are, wondering if you'll forgive me. That's your problem. Stella, I'm sorry, brother was wrong. His tears finally fell, drop by drop, onto her hand. I shouldn't have believed Ivy, shouldn't have treated you like that. I regret it, I really regret it. For the past 3 years, I've regretted it every day. Can you forgive your brother? Can we go home? His voice was humble, like he was begging. Stella looked at him, her eyes frighteningly calm, like she was looking at a stranger. Mr. Julian, are we familiar? Julian was stunned, his whole body stiffened. Stella? I don't know you. She pried his hand open, one finger at a time. Please respect yourself. Stella, I'm your brother. His voice was sobbing, heartbreaking. I don't have a brother. She sneered, her smile icy. My brother died 3 years ago. He died on the day he brought people to humiliate me. Every word was like a knife, piercing his heart fiercely. Stella. Julian staggered back, his face as pale as paper. His whole body swayed, as if he would fall at any moment. What's wrong? She tilted her head to look at him, her tone light and airy. Can't you understand human speech? Do I need to make it clearer? She took a step closer, saying word by word, Julian, I hate you. Every word was enunciated heavily, very clearly. For the past 3 years, every time I think about that day, I wish you were dead. When you had people slap me, did you think I was your sister? When you had people strip my clothes, did you think about my dignity? When you watched the whole school laugh at me, did you feel even a little bit of heartache? Her voice was very soft, but it exploded in his ears like thunder. No, right? She laughed, a sarcastic laugh. In your heart, Ivy's words are more important than the innocence of your own sister. So, why are you looking for me? Why do you think that one apology can erase everything? Julian knelt down. At the wedding, in full view of everyone. He knelt in front of his sister, sobbing uncontrollably. Stella, brother was really wrong. His head was lowered deeply, tears dripping onto the floor. You can make me do anything as long as you forgive me. Do you want me to die? I'll go die right now. As he said that, he was about to slam into the wall. The action was decisive, without a trace of hesitation. Stella watched coldly, not moving at all. Her expression was calm, as if she was watching a play. It was the people beside him who stopped him. Sir, calm down. Let's talk things out. Don't be impulsive. The scene was chaotic. Julian. Stella looked down at him from above. He was being held down on the ground, disheveled and miserable. Do you know why I didn't explain? He raised his head, tears streaming down his face, his eyes filled with despair. Because you're not worthy. She said word by word, her voice icy. A person who doesn't even believe his own sister is not worthy of hearing my explanation. I would rather leave than explain a single word to you. Because the moment you chose to believe Ivy, our sibling relationship ended. 16 years of siblinghood is no match for a stranger's lies. Tell me, isn't it ridiculous? She turned around, walking step by step towards the exit. Every step was firm, without a trace of hesitation. Behind her came Julian's heartbreaking cries. Stella! Stella! Please give your brother a chance. Brother can give you anything, as long as you come back. I'll kneel for you, I'll be your slave, as long as you forgive me. She didn't turn back. Walking out of the hotel, the sun was shining just right. The winter sun, warm and not dazzling. She took a deep breath and sent a message to her boyfriend. The wedding is over, come pick me up. Soon a car stopped in front of her. Her boyfriend got out of the car and gently put a coat on her. Are you cold? His voice was gentle, his eyes concerned. I'm not cold. She shook her head with a smile. The smile was sincere, from the bottom of her heart. As she got into the car, she looked back. Julian stumbled out, seeing her getting into someone else's car. He froze there, like a statue. His eyes were empty, lifeless. She withdrew her gaze and said to her boyfriend, Let's go. The car slowly drove away. In the rearview mirror, the figure of the man became smaller and smaller, until it completely disappeared, just like their sibling relationship. Completely disappeared. After that, Julian broke down. A complete breakdown. He began to self-harm frantically, cutting his wrists, jumping off buildings. Each time he was rescued. Why did you save me? Let me die, he said, crying, his eyes filled with despair. What's the point of living? Stella doesn't want me anymore. I don't have a sister anymore. He was eventually sent to a mental hospital. The doctor said he suffered from severe depression and schizophrenia. He needed long-term treatment. He was always mumbling, Stella, I'm sorry, come back. Over and over, like a magic spell. Sometimes lucid, sometimes mad. She cries when lucid, laughs when mad. And Stella knows nothing of this. She deleted all contact information of her northern classmates, completely severing ties with the past, not wanting to know any news about that place. She graduated smoothly and found a good job, working as a designer at a well-known company. She married her boyfriend and had a lovely daughter. The wedding was warm and touching, although her maternal family wasn't there. But her husband's family was good to her, treating her like their own daughter. Life was peaceful and happy. Occasionally, she would think of that brother who once doted on her. Remembering when she was little, he carried her to the hospital on his back. Remembering him cooking for her, washing her clothes. remembering him saying he would protect her for life. But it was just remembering. Like recalling a distant dream. It really happened, but she could never go back.